What's going on, everybody? It's me, Pastor Noah, and I'm here with Pastor John, and we're coming at you again with another podcasty type thing. And today we're going to be discussing some of the schedule changes coming up for this summer, and we have quite a few of them, so things are going to be switched around. So to start it off, starting in June, going through the month of August, our Sunday morning services are going to be beginning at 10 a.m. and we're just going to have one service. So just one 10 a.m. service for Sunday mornings all the way from June through the month of August. Then on Sunday nights, we're moving our youth service from Wednesday nights to back to Sunday nights, and those will begin at 7 p.m. and doors are going to open at 6:30. And then Wednesday nights, we are going to be having a Bethesda night every Wednesday through the entire summer. So for the last about year or so, we've been doing Bethesda nights either once a month on a Sunday night or every other month on a Sunday night. But for this summer, they're going to be every Wednesday at 6:30, and it's going to be great. It's going to be awesome, and we're really excited to see what the Lord's going to do in this time. But we're just going to discuss some of the vision behind why we're making these schedule changes and why we're really wanting to press in this summer. So let's start by talking about why just one 10 a.m. service, Pastor.
Well, as a rule, whenever we do a Super Sunday or a Bethesda Sunday, we typically go one Sunday morning service because we're doing a night service, and it's not uncommon. We try not to make it a rule. We try not to make it a rule with anything, but we try not to, discount the fact that on a Bethesda night that worship could go longer, and therefore we're pushing our worship team, and we really don't have the numbers in our music ministry to support 3 Sunday morning services without really driving those guys into the ground, and I don't want to do that. And to be honest, we don't have the children's workers either, and so until we can bring those numbers up, we're going to do our best to run the services in a way that our leadership isn't taxed, and we're in this for the long haul. I'd like to say that this is more of a marathon than a sprint, and so those are the primary reasons. Our music ministry, our children's workers, that will go one Sunday morning service, and we'll go the one midweek service this summer, beginning June 4th, extending, I believe it's August 27th will be the last summer format service.
Yeah, and like you said, just trying to hit that balance between offering more times where we can go after the Lord and be with Him and gather together and press in, but then also not taxing the people that it takes to put on a service, because whether many of you know that or not, it does take a very significant team, amount of people to put on a service and to offer everything that we want to offer with quality worship and children's care and many other things too. But so that's the reason that we're kind of cutting down the morning services just to one 10 a.m. service. So moving into, all right, so why are we doing youth on Sunday nights now? Why not just keep the Bethesda nights on Sunday night? Well, our vision for the Bethesda nights this summer is to have that midweek break where you can come in on Sunday and then also come in on Wednesday, and you don't have to dedicate your entire Sunday because people, they have things to do. But we wanted to offer that time midweek on a Wednesday night where we can come in and we can press in and just see whatever the Lord wants to do, really. So with that being said, the youth service is going to be moving to Sunday night, and I know my heart for that was I want my students at those Bethesda nights as much as possible. We've been seeing some of these kids, some of these teenagers, middle schoolers, press into the Lord during worship. Just last night, we had an altar full of teenagers, awesome. Just because they want the Lord and they're hungry for Him. And so I really wanted to figure it out where I could still have the youth service with them and pastor them and do all the things that they need, but then also they can come in on our Bethesda nights and they can maybe in some ways kind of lead the charge into those things because they're passionate and they're hungry. And they make me want to love the Lord more. Mm-hmm. Like when I see them going after him, that inspires me to go after him more. So that's why we're kind of moving the youth service to Sunday nights away from Wednesday nights for the summer. And then the centerpiece of it all, I guess you will, is the Bethesda nights on Wednesday nights at 6:30. And we just had a discussion earlier this week, and it was kind of funny. A lot of people have been asking for an explanation or a definition to what we're doing on Bethesda nights. And it's kind of a paradox a little bit because the whole, I guess, point of starting these in the first place, Pastor John had the vision for it, was to be a time where there was no explanation. There was no agenda per se. It was just, we're going to come prepared and we're going to have, some songs ready. We're going to have a word ready. But at the end of the day, we're going to follow him. And we're just going to follow the cloud in those moments. And so it could look from anything from like a traditional worship night where we just worship for hours. It could be a time where we enter into a prophetic ministry flow. It could be we want to lay hands on prayer. It could be a combination of a few different things. Maybe it's teaching. Maybe the Lord really just wants to get into the depths of the Word. But whatever it is, we're just going to follow him. So we're not going to have like anything like announcements. It's not going to look like a traditional service like you'd be used to on a Sunday morning. But it's still church. It's still the saints gathering together in the presence of the Lord. But it's just a little more, I guess you would say, free-spirited.
Well, I can remember years ago, about 6 years ago, when we were about to begin the building of our new facility, and some of the businesses across the street were a little put off by it because, as one put it, he said, well, we don't want some bell being sounded. And I go, we don't have a bell? I go, we don't have a bell tower. If we do anything here at Restore Church, we try to remove all of the things that might draw attention so that everyone's attention would be drawn to Jesus.
That's good.
And those Bethesda nights, the emphasis is going to be Jesus Christ. And we're just going to go after him, whether it's through prayer, whether it's through worship, whether it's through the word, combination of all of them. But there will be no, set in stone format that we're going to adhere to. We're going to do communion on those nights. We're going to have guest speakers on those nights. I mean, it's just going to be a wonderful, wonderful time for us to pursue the Lord without having to feel the pressure of sticking to a format or service times, because with two services, you have to be mindful of people coming and going. Our parking lot's only so big. Mm-hmm. Whereas on these Wednesday nights, man, we're just gonna go after the Lord. And I base all of that out of the very vision that God gave us out of John chapter 5. And some early manuscripts in John chapter 5 eliminate verses 3 and 4. But you'll find the King James, the New King James, the NASB, they all have that an angel of the Lord went down at certain seasons into the pool, stirred up the water. Whoever then first, after the stirring of the water, stepped in was made well from whatever disease he was afflicted. And so in our name, Restore, that swirl where the O is represents this stirred water in John chapter 5. And it's funny, the early manuscripts, some of them eliminated the stirring of the water, but then even the sick man at the pool of Bethesda in verse 7 said to Jesus, "Sir, I have no man to put me into the pool when the water stirred up." So the water being stirred up was, legitimate. It wasn't, that wasn't happening because even the man himself mentions it. But I think the emphasis is that it was a place of healing in the community, right in the middle of the community. And I believe that's what God's called our church to be, a place of healing. And even in our sanctuary, we have on the wall after Pastor Lee prophesied, man, I'm not telling you to put this up there, but I just saw, lives, restored in the presence of God. And so we have that on our wall. And so that's really what these Bethesda nights are. A stirring of God's presence so that God's people could be touched in whatever way he chooses to touch them. And so we're just looking forward to these. I really, really love a midweek service. Really believe God put it on my heart to do this summer. Typically numbers are down in the summer. And so what a wonderful opportunity for us to go to one Sunday morning service and then have a midweek service with, no format really, no set agenda. I'll see to it that either myself or one of the other pastors on staff has a message prepared, and we'll go after the Lord. And I just want to encourage you to come. Great opportunity for you to bring family members and maybe people that have never been exposed to God's presence or the prophetic or the gifts of the Holy Spirit to come to a service too. So just really, really looking forward to it and really hoping you'll all come.
Yeah, and how significant is it too that we're right on Main Street? I mean, our church building, our facilities are right on the main street of our city. And
didn't want to be there, Noah. I didn't. We had bought land.
The Lord wanted you there.
Oh my gosh, up behind Temple Baptist Church. I did not want to be there, and the Lord spoke so strongly to me, so strongly. So much so that even the people that opposed our church being downtown, the two that opposed it the most were just kind of removed from our church. They transitioned out. When they left, I mentioned it again. I said, I really, really believe the reason why we're not able to get anything to move up on the hill. I mean, we did a Good Friday service out in the grass up there in the property that we own behind Temple Baptist Church. We eventually sold it to the people that built those red apartments up there, that apartment complex. But just we know that God called us to be on Main Street in downtown. I heard it said this way, that God caused us to be in the heart of the city to capture the heart of the city. Yeah. And so really believe that's why we're where we are.
That's so good. And here we are now, 25 years in, or almost 26 years now, and we're leaning into that vision of being a modern-day pool of Bethesda.
More than ever.
It's so beautiful. And so, guys, that's kind of the synopsis. There's so many things we could talk about. There's so many things we could say. But that's the synopsis of the heart behind these Bethesda nights and the schedule changes coming with them this summer. And so if you guys have any more questions, please don't hesitate to call or reach out or send a message or however you want to do that. But I think you said it best. We're just going after Jesus this summer. It's not the most profound or it's simple. We're going after him. And we're hoping that you'll join us, and we're hoping that we can all just lean in together. And I'm expectant. I'm really expectant.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Well, anyway, guys, you have a great rest of your day. Thank you for watching, and we just pray that you have a blessed week, and we will see you Sunday. Bye-bye.